The H Production start in 2007 was 4 wide as Don Barrett took the lead from pole sitter Tom Feller, but Feller in his yellow Spitfire held to the inside and got the lead back. That battle brought along Ron Bartel and Brian Lynn. Then Lynn made an inside move past Bartel. Then a back and forth battle ensued. Advantage Lynn. Feller took it back. Lynn, then Feller, then Lynn, Feller. They touched. Lynn on the inside, Feller. Lynn got by, then Feller. Then Lynn went off, but stayed with it. But there was just too much yellow in the mirrors, and Feller hangs on to grab the checkers. It was 4 in a row for Tom Feller and a very hard-fought victory. Production at the SCCA National Championships used to be all about British roadsters, but that's just not the case anymore. But don't tell these 3 drivers that. Tom Feller has won the H Production National Championship the last 4 years in a row. He's looking to make it 5 years in a row this year, but to do so, he'll be carrying an extra 50 pounds thanks to a rules change. The very fast MG Midget of Lauren Moore also carrying an extra 50 pounds of weight, but he says, hey, that's okay. I've got the engine that finished second last year. It's got an extra 10 horsepower. Hopefully, I'll be good to go. Dan Collishaw in his Austin Healey Sprite has won national championship to his credit. He's still using the 948cc power plant, and he thinks with a weight break, he too will have a shot at another national championship. I said it used to be about British roadsters, but Dorsey Schrader, that's just not the case anymore.
Well, Brian, it's not just about the roadsters because the Tin Top boys have come here to do battle as well. Jay Griffin comes with a Honda CRX, and he's already won 3 times so far this year. If you're a German car fan, you're going to love this Volkswagen Golf, no doubt about that. It's brought in here by Tim Pitts. Tim has won 6 events in this car so far this year. Don't count him out. Now, Greg Copper is the Central Division champion. His Honda Civic has won 4 times. Watch for the Tin Top boys to beat up on those roadsters today.
The participants in Sports Car Club of America Road Racing have gathered for 45 years now to crown national champions at the SCCA National Championship Runoffs. This year, national championships in 25 different classes will be earned at Heartland Park, Topeka, and you must earn a national championship because at the runoffs, there simply are no gifts. And while the runoff celebrates its 45th running, so does the H Production class, as it was there in 1964 when the runoffs began. On this beautiful fall day, the 45th H Production National Champion will be crowned. Hello everyone, I'm Brian Till along with Dorsey Schrader, Mike Johnson and Chris Neville down in pit lane. Heartland Park, Topeka. Dorsey, and an H Production car, take us around.
Well, H Production is the smallest of all production classes, and of course, they'll have a lot of room on this 2.5-mile racetrack. 14 corners, you've got the high-speed corners all down on this end of the racetrack, and then down here, the more technical side.
Now, H Production, one of the production classes, you know all about it. You spent time in this class.
I started in H Production, I sure did. And you see right here, must retain the original design layout. Engine sizes, they change your weight.
Well, for more stories from down on pit road, let's head down to Mike Johnson first.
Well, you guys already mentioned the British Roadsters and you mentioned the Tin Tops, but I got something that doesn't fit neither one. How about a Fiat X19? Matt Brandon built a brand new car for the runoffs, a 1300cc carbureted motor. He qualified for the runoffs in a 1500 fuel injected, but he owns a Fiat X19 restoration shop. So if anybody can keep a Fiat running for 18 laps, it's Matt Brandon. Chris?
Chris Larson has been in his second runoffs, and last year he was running in the top 10 when an oil fitting broke on the car and took him out. Now Chris has been running for 10 years in racing, and in his professional life, he's a nuclear physicist. 1 row behind him, Joel McGinney, a rocket scientist. Hopefully these two don't have a meltdown or blow up on the pad.
There's some intelligence down on the grid, as well as some performance. The 2008 SCCA National Championship Runoffs, the battle for H Production is next. Heartland Park, Topeka, proud to host the 45th running of the SCCA National Championship Runoffs. And proud to bring it to you right here on Speed. H Production. Up next, The battle for the gold about to get underway. The field behind the pace car right now. One more pace lap, and they will take the green here at Heartland Park for 18 laps of competition to see who will walk away with the national championship in H production. The 45th running of the Runoffs and the 45th running for the national championship in H production. One of the longest running classes that we've seen. And you look through the top 6 cars, Dorsey, 6 different makes, so a lot of variety in H production.
Yeah, there always has been too, and you heard about the engine sizes. You can some of these cars when they were brand new, and that was a long time ago, had less than 1,000 cc's, 948 48 cc's in the Bug-Eye Sprites here, like you see, and the MG Midgets. But you can upgrade, if you will, by going to a bigger engine, but you got to weigh more if you do that.
It's like you said, that's how they equalize the field, and there have been some changes. Tom Feller on the pole, your champion, and actually a 4-time champion. Feller has gotten 50 pounds added to his car. Daniel Collinshaw has gotten some weight taken off, and Lauren Moore there in third, he's got 50 pounds added to his. So as you look through that top 6, once again, 6 different manufacturers in the top 6. We'll scroll to the second page. Gary Whitman, James Bluss, both divisional champions, so talent all throughout this H production field. Let's head straight back down to pit lane, and Chris.
Brian, Bob Eichelberg is driving a Mark Webber-owned car. This little Austin Healey was built by Bob Hubbard, who won the 24 Hours with Mazda back in the 70s. Now, this little car has new front suspension on it, so it's much more responsive this weekend. This is the first time that Bob has out-qualified the boss, Mark Webber. And you know what? He's got to remember who the boss is. Mike?
Well, last year 4 cars didn't make it to the grid on time, but luckily they're all here this weekend. One of those cars was Andrew Wright in 11th place. Now, he told me that he was here so early this time because his wife was so mad at him when she was watching it on TV. Said, "You left me for a week and all you did, and you missed the grid." Well, anyway, he's in 2 classes this weekend. He's also racing a Super 7 in F production. Look for him to go up to the front, and we know he'll be on time for that F production race too, guys.
And Mark Webber, right there, we're talking about, and I went to driver school together in 1971. He has been running that same car in combination of cars. He runs in 2 classes since that time, Brian, since 71.
There's no way anybody that went to driver school with you could still be alive.
Well, here's the deal. Me, Mark Webber, and a man named Bobby Rahal all went to driving school together, and Mark Webber outlasted Rahal and me.
So let's see. Let's compare the 3 careers. Yours was pretty good. I'll give you credit there. And Mark Webber, the official photographer for Speed World Challenge, he does a lot of racing photography, some spectacular pictures. If you go to the SCCA World Challenge website, you'll see a lot of Mark Webber's photography on there. Very good. Obviously, Bobby Rahal that went to school, he paid attention to the things that maybe you didn't. I think he did okay in his racing career.
And now his son, of course, Graham, is doing
Graham paid
really
attention
good
as well. These drivers right now are going to pay attention to the green flag. Tom Feller on the pole in his Spitfire. Dan Collishaw outside in the Austin Healey Sprite. Field lining up, and Feller brings him down pretty quick out of turn 14, looking for the green flag. And it's a late flag, but it waves, and H production underway. Collishaw with a good jump at the start, beginning to pull out on Feller a little bit. Right behind him, the Fiat of Matt Brannon.
Brannon giving him a little drafting help right there. Now the inside row moving forward.
Collishaw sweeps around the outside and takes over the point out of turn 2. Feller not having anything to do with that. Excuse me, let me muscle back by. Now side by side through the carousel, but Dorsey, these slicks not up to temperature yet.
No, they're not. Remember how we saw that last year at the opening of this show with Brian Lynn? Feller and him, back and forth, swip swapping the lead every single lap.
Swip swapping.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely. That means they changed it. But back up front, nothing has changed. Collishaw still leads, but look at this battle a little further back. The 11 of Tim Pitts there. That Volkswagen trying to hold station. Collishaw leads Feller, then the Fiat of Brannon, and then you saw Lauren Moore in the yellow MG Midget. That is the top 4, and another good battle a little further back. The 15 of Greg Gopper. You saw the white Honda Civic there running side by side with the 17, another Honda Civic of Jay Griffin.
And Bob Eichelberger right behind them. There's a 3rd place pass. Brannon
trying to hold on to it, but Lauren Moore in that yellow MG right behind, trying to take it over. Lauren Moore carries the engine that Brian Lynn ran last year, and he has high hopes for it. He says they've even twisted that thing up a little bit more, getting an extra 10 horsepower out of it. Dorsey, 10 extra horsepower, but 50 pounds that they have to carry. So who comes out ahead there, the weight or the horsepower?
Probably a wash, to be honest about it. But I'll tell you why they did that, went to the bigger engines, because they're running out of engine blocks and pieces for these cars. They're built in the 1950s, and so there's just not that much spare stuff to go around.
Good battles here.
The 1275 engine, on the other hand, was built all the way into the 80s.
Gopper in that white Honda Civic doing battle with Jay Griffin right there. It's a great run right there.
These two need to draft like this because they got the big frontal area of the sedan. They don't have the open cockpit like.
And you saw Bob Eichelberger in the 27 right there. And look at this, a battle for the lead, and Feller has taken it. Now, interestingly enough, Tom Feller has not raced at all in 2008. Used his Champions Provisional to get into the SCCA National Championships. I said you had to earn an entry here. Well, you earn it by winning races in your division, or if you're a past champion, you can get in. Feller not turning a wheel, and you would think he might be a little rusty.
Well, I'm sure, you know, he's been here for all week trying this car out. Take a look and see how he got that lead pass done, and it was set up out of turn one. This is the end of the straightaway going into one. Moves to the inside, just to the perfect draft by.
Well, and Collishaw really allowed that to happen as well. I don't think that he wants to fight right now, saying, all right, you know, I'll let you zip by, you got the run on me. But look at the distance that Tom Feller has already been able to pull out. Now, we saw him do this last year, Dorsey, and if you'll remember, Brian Lynn was able to hunt him down and show us that great battle, but Lauren Moore has slipped up a little bit.
Now, depending on what tire compound these guys decided to run on, you can run off your tires. We saw that last year, that by the end of the half-hour or 40-minute race, the tires on some cars were off and they were falling backwards quick. Oh, big slide there.
Gopper still trying to hold on to the 6th position.
Jay
Griffin behind him.
Griffin with a big slide. That front-wheel drive can pull it back out when you get sideways like that.
A little further back, you saw the 24 as well. James Blust. Jim Blust right there in that black Triumph Spitfire, and the 38 right behind him.
Oh, he's going to pit lane, though, I think. Nope, he just went off on a funny line.
Good run for Blust. He qualified back in 15th. He's moved up several spots in the first couple of laps, up to 12th, so he is heading in the right direction. Tom Feller has taken back over the point from Dan Collishaw and leads here at Heartland Park. 2 laps in the books. Working lap 3 of 18. We'll be back to more H production action from Heartland Park, Topeka, the 45th running of the SCCA National Championship Runoffs.
Tom Broering drives this beautiful number 9 H Production Spitfire, while his wife Carolyn helps her husband at the track. But she also spends her time on the weekends working on the grid. She was the 2008 SCCA Volunteer of the Year working on their grid. But I want to know, which one of you guys has more fun on these race weekends?
I think I have a lot of fun down here. I get to meet a lot of people, get to help him out, and then when he's done, I get to come back and spend more time with people down here on grid, and I really have a good time.
Now, Tom, with your wife working on the grid, will she ever let you get up to the front of the pack, or does she keep you where you belong?
I have to earn every spot I get.
Well, that definitely in the SCCA, there's more than one way to have a lot of fun here at the racetrack.
Thomas Broering's number 9 is running 9th, but really getting some pressure right now. You see a look at Broering. He just got moved back. Jim Blust just got past him in the 24. So right now, Broering holding on, and he said that his wife works harder on the weekends. Look, you drive a British sports car. I think you work a lot over the weekend.
See him lock up a tire back there, and this is what we call the autocross section of the racetrack. It's very, very tight, twisty last 3 corners leading onto the front straight here.
Right there in front, you see the 24.
That's Bob Eichelberger. That's the other car from Mark Webber, the 27 there.
And then the 24 right behind him of Jim Blust. So they have worked their way past Broering and having a good battle right now. The 24 of Jim Blust running 9th right now.
These cars, again, don't have a lot of horsepower, so it's very important to keep your momentum up. You see the corner speeds are pretty good on these cars. They get through the corner well. They just don't have a lot of straightaway speed.
Well, I mean, these are momentum cars. They've got a nice low center of gravity. They handle okay, but like you said, without a lot of horsepower, they're not going to be flying away. That's for sure. Eichelberger right now trying to hold down the 8th spot. Blust behind him. And a problem right there. I believe that's the 17 of Griffin. It is. His Honda Civic looks like it has given up the ghost there. The CRX parked on the side of the road. Griffin had qualified 7th and having a pretty good run going. The battle for somewhere in between 5th and 6th. But
they got it going.
Kind of got it moving. I wonder if it died and he's been able to get it refired, or if there's a terminal problem there, Dorsey.
It's hard to say what happened. He pulled off immediately, so he knew he had some sort of problem.
Now, it's kind of rare to see one of the Hondas have a problem. One of the British sports cars is not at all. Now, these guys, I mean, we talk about that and I joke about that, but they found a lot of durability in these cars, but the bits and pieces and parts are older, and you're twisting them well beyond what they were designed to do.
Yeah, and you know, you just can't go out to a junkyard and start buying pieces off these old cars, because they've been racing these cars now for, God, forever. You know, and as pieces get depleted, there's just no manufacturer doing them. That's one reason to go to the 1275 engine, because that was made much more currently.
Gary Whitman in the 38 there, but go back up front to the lead battle. Tom Feller has it, but look at Collishaw. Feller had gotten around him, but it looks like Collishaw has been able to close that ground back up, and this is what we saw last year. Remember, Feller jumped out to the lead, but then Brian Lynn hunted him down, and they were door to door for the remainder of the battle. Collishaw with a little bit of a weight break, running that smaller displacement engine this year, but Feller 50 extra pounds. Chris?
Okay. Well, before Tom got his chance in his car, his father Chuck drove that car back before 1998 for 5 years. How did Tom talk you out of the seat?
Well, he had always helped me crewing since he was about 11 or 12 years old. And I raced at a club near Detroit, Michigan called Waterford Hills Road Racing Incorporated. And they have some co-driving races on weekends, so they allow drivers, when they have a driver's license at 16 to Michigan, to race. So Tom did that. He was instantly quick and consistent, and it made it easier. He could read the car so well for me to work as a crew chief and engineer of the car, and we finally got it handling right. And so I kind of let him drive. I may take it back someday, though.
Well, now he and Collishaw having a good battle. Collishaw just got around him right now. What kind of battle should we expect from these two?
Oh, they've done this a few years ago at Mid-Ohio, and they were nose to tail. Now, in that race, Dan didn't get around Tom, so he pretty much followed him right at the rear bumper all the way around. So we'll see how this goes. I expect it'll go right to the finish.
Well, Tom's got 4 championships, so you imagine who's probably going to come out on top in this one.
Well, Tom Feller certainly knows how to drive that Triumph, Chris, but right there onto the front straightaway, Dorsey, the tail was wagging the dog.
Yeah, he got a little tank slapper, almost got it going there. Big catch there. You know, he was trying to get on the power early in that corner to get the straightaway speed, but it broke free right in the middle of the corner.
Well, and you talk about not having a lot of horsepower in these cars. When you slide them, you lose that momentum, but looks like Feller has kind of gotten back up on the wheel again, and look at that. Collishaw.
He just nailed that corner. I mean, absolutely got turn 2 100% right.
It was almost like Dan Collishaw had a problem or something. Tom Feller so quick to get the position back. So now Feller back in front. Collishaw relegated to second. And this is another great H production battle.
I think it woke up the giant there.
I think you're right there, Dorsey. I think Tom Feller said, "What are you doing? Get your head back in the game." And he did just that. Take a look. This is how Dan Collishaw took the lead from Feller, and he does it going into turn 8 and 9, the high-speed bus stop.
That's off the back straightaway, so he used a little draft help there, but this was just huge mid-corner speed.
Huge run. The H production battle continues from Heartland Park. The pinnacle of SCCA national competition is the SCCA National Championship Runoffs. Over 500 drivers along with friends, family, and crew have arrived in Topeka, Kansas to wage war in 25 different classes to see who will walk away at the end of the weekend with the gold medals. Up now, the battle for the H production title, and it is a good one from Heartland Park in Topeka, Kansas. Defending national champion Tom Feller and his bright yellow Spitfire run out front. Behind him, Dan Collishaw in his Austin Healey Sprite. And these two have been going at it, exchanging the lead back and forth. Right now, Dorsey, it looks like Tom Feller has a comfortable lead, but we saw this 2 laps ago, and all of a sudden, Collishaw was not only there, he took over the point.
Well, right as we came off commercial break, Collishaw made a mistake going into turn 8 off the back straightaway, the same place he made the pass 2 laps ago. He got in too deep and went off with 2 wheels in the grass, and that's what cost him that amount of momentum we talk about. These are momentum cars. You got to keep the thing rolling.
Momentum right now in the battle for 12th, the 43 on your left. Chris Larson, the 37 there, Joel McGinley. So McGinley trying to work his way to the front, and he does. Slingshots by the 43 and takes over the 13th position.
And right behind them was Mark Webber. It looked like his hood is a little bit loose. It's flopping up and down. It's not going to fly off or anything, but it just looks like it maybe one of the pins is loose.
Right now, McGinley is taken over the 13th position in his Austin Healey Sprite.
An old bug eye, probably 1950 vintage, 50 something I should say.
McGinley started 16th, so he's on the right track moving forward. The 43 of Larson started 14th and currently 14th, so he hasn't gained anything, he hasn't lost anything. And you see, I believe,
that's
number 25 right there.
That's Mark Webber trying to mix it up with these two guys.
Webber trying to go forward, and this is another good battle for 4th.
Whoa.
You see the 11th, that's Tim Pitts in his Volkswagen Golf, and the 75 of Lauren Moore. Moore, your 3rd qualifier. Pitts had qualified back in 6th, so he's moving forward. And Lauren Moore, we thought we would see more out of that little MG midget, but seems like Lauren Moore having a problem staying with the leaders and going forward.
Looked like the handling wasn't really good on that tight section back there that we just came off of. Car rolled real loose, almost like he's got a front sway bar either disconnected or possibly broken. Car really leaned over hard in that corner, and then the back end broke loose, which is kind of reminiscent of what happened. See it right there?
I see
a lot of front roll.
So Lauren Moore perhaps losing the handling on his little MG midget. Once again, he has the engine that Brian Lynn ran so well with here last year, and they had such high hopes, thinking that they had found an extra 10 horsepower out of that power plant. But the officials also found an extra 50 pounds of ballast to put in that MG midget. So Lauren Moore perhaps fighting with that, Dorsey. 50 pounds of weight in one of these cars is a huge penalty, not only horsepower-wise, but handling-wise, as we go back to that battle for 13th.
Chris Larson and Mark Webber having a go at it. There was a 3-car battle before, but it looks like they've shaken free.
Larson currently running 14th, Mark Webber in 15th.
Mark's been driving that same car now since 1971 or so.
He had a best runoff finish of 5th in 1997 in G production. So Webber runs 2 classes, like you said, and he'll run 2 classes here this weekend.
He probably has more parts for these type of cars than probably anybody in the world. He's got a garage, Brian, where he's actually built tiers of cars.
Oh, and Lauren Moore, we were just talking about the handling problems on that car, Dorsey.
He's hit the wall. You can tell from the tire marks up in front of the car.
And that is a shame. That MG midget beautifully prepared, but I've got a feeling that the left side is not quite so straight.
Well, it looked to me like he had a broken sway bar all along. We'll keep it look. See, he's in wicked
real
oversteer.
Loose. I got it, I don't got it. That's going to be a high-speed impact.
That's going to be a big hit. Oh, yeah.
Oh, and that is a shame because the left side of that car is going to have some big damage to it. These are not fiberglass panels that you just put back on.
And these cars are real short wheelbase, so they really get out of control on you. Oh, that's a big hit. That's a big hit.
Lauren Moore still in the car. You see him moving around.
He hit dead sideways, and that's the worst impact you can get. You know, it doesn't dissipate energy when the whole side of the car hits flat against that barrier.
No, and Lauren Moore still sitting there, but talking to the corner worker. Tom Feller continues to lead in his Triumph Spitfire. Dan Collishaw holds on to second, only 2 seconds behind, and problems all around the racetrack. Feller dodges the bullet and holds on to the lead. We'll be back to Heartland Park right after this. H Production National Championship from the runoffs at the drop of the green is Dan Collishaw from outside the front row in his white Austin Healey, sweeping around Tom Feller in the yellow Spitfire to take over the lead. But it was short-lived. Take a look at this. Tom Feller right back at the end of lap 1. Thank you. I'll take that back.
And of course it wasn't over yet, and it's not still over for that matter, as they swap the lead once again.
Collishaw around the outside, and then this is the most remarkable pass we've seen. Tom Feller with a great run through 1 and 2, just drives past Dan Collishaw like he's standing still as they head into turn 3.
He just nailed that corner. I mean, absolutely got all of it.
And then the problem, this is why we're under full course caution. Lauren Moore, bam.
That's a big hit, Brian. When you hit dead sideways like that, you pancake against the wall. And there's no dissipation of energy because the car doesn't fold up like it would if you hit forward or backward.
Well, that's a really good point. It's just flat down that side, so it's a quick smack up against the wall. Not a lot of crush panel there to help with, so that's a pretty good smack. Tom Feller continues to lead, then Dan Collishaw. Matt Brannon with a good run.
That's that Fiat X19 that Matt's driving.
So they're having a good run. Let's head down to the pits with Mike.
Well, Peter Voorhees is the crew chief for Daniel Collishaw. Now, you guys are about 350 cc's lower than Feller, but is that, with the weight disadvantages, is that enough to actually get him on the restart, you think?
Well, that's going to be tough because with the bigger torque motors, the starts, if they're slow, have a big advantage. Hopefully it's a fast start, but the cars with the bigger horsepower are going to want to get up front a lot easier.
Now, we saw him go back and forth at Mid-Ohio just like this a couple years ago. If we go back to green, or when we go back to green, you expecting it just to go back and forth like it did at the beginning of the race?
I expect it to be like the beginning of the race.
All right, well, if it's like it was when it started, we should have a great finish, guys.
Well, the pole car will control the pace, and it would be to his advantage to start slower, Brian, because he's got the bigger engine, and he can accelerate and get to his top speed quicker than the smaller engine can.
Good point, Dan Collishaw. That smaller displacement needs the momentum, that rolling momentum, to try to mount an attack on Tom Feller. The field under full course caution right now. This is why Lauren Moore, with the problems in his MG Midget, sliding off turn 9, contact with the wall. His day is done.
The Austin Healey Sprite is the little car that started the sports car craze back in the 50s and 60s. A few years back, SCCA allowed owners to go to the larger motor. However, Joel McGinley and a few other drivers decided to stay with the smaller, original motor. Joel, why the decision?
Well, it's history, of course. This is the way the cars were delivered and the way a lot of us have raced them for years and years, and we have the knowledge. And we decided to stay with the original engine and run these pistons rather than some of the later model ones run a bigger engine, but you have to add a lot of weight. And we're hoping that by carrying a less weight, it'll help our tires, and with our handling, maybe we can be the little engine that could.
Well, right now, Joel McGinley thinking the same way that Dan Collishaw is, and Collishaw's car running well. McGinley not having a bad day, back in 12th.
That was the difference from a 948 piston to a 1275, which is the more current, larger engine.
Sure. Whatever you say.
948 thing, it looks like a lawnmower piston times 4. My Fiat was less than that, it was 903. Actually, it was 817.
And the thing that's interesting is I think the SCCA has done a very good job of coming up with a formulation that does make these cars pretty equal. We're watching the battle between Tom Feller and Dan Collishaw, two very different ideas there.
And you have to do it because you're running out of pieces. I mean, the cars are still good race cars and so forth, but the engine pieces for the older, smaller engine are getting very scarce.
11 laps in the books. They're working lap 12 right now. The pace car dives to pit road, and we should be going back to green here. We'll have to see what kind of a start it is. Tom Feller, it sounds like, would be well advised to bring it down slow, but that looks pretty quick, Dorsey. And if Collishaw can get the jump,
and an early
the momentum,
green.
and the green flies very early.
Unlike the original start where he really gave it to him pretty late.
And Matt Brannon in there, and look at the momentum.
Yeah.
There you go, Collishaw down to the inside.
And Brannon mixing it up is going to really complicate the thing. Instead of being two guys going at it now, add that X19 Fiat.
I'll tell you what, though, Tom Feller's favorite corner on the racetrack is turn 2.
He gets all over turn 2.
Collishaw with a great jump at the start, read the restart perfectly, led to turn 1, but Feller just magic through that combination of corners, and the exit speed just too great.
Carries so much mid-corner speed there. The rolling speed he's got center corner is just awesome.
And just off the corner there, looked like Collishaw, maybe the tire's not quite back up to temperature yet or what, but Feller able to pull him there at the entry to turn 5 and off of turn 6. There's another car length or 2.
Yeah, and they both are distancing Brannon. Matt Brannon's Fiat just not quite up to that speed.
Here's a look at the start again, and you see Feller followed by Dan Collishaw, and then Matt Brannon in the blue Fiat, Collishaw in the white Austin Healey Sprite. Reads the restart perfectly.
Collishaw really had the big run, but like you said, turn 2 belongs to Tom Feller.
He's got 2 car links as they go past the apex of 1, and as they came off of turn 2, it looked like Feller had 2 or 3 miles an hour.
Yeah, it's just mid-corner out. That Spitfire is magic.
Great to see these marks still running as well. My first SCCA race, I went with a man named Don Martin who had an E-Production MG and also had another MGB in E-Production later. But the entire production-based cars were just awesome, these little British Roadsters. Mike?
Well, I spoke with Marnie Brandon, Matt's wife. She said that right now he says the car's handling great. He's really happy with the car. But remember, it's just a brand new car. They just put that motor in a brand new chassis, you know, brand new for racing chassis at least, this weekend. He wishes he maybe would have had a couple more races to get some of the handling a little bit better. But right now he's very happy in third, which would tie his best ever runoffs finish, guys.
And that X19 is a rear drive, but more or less a mid-engine. The engine sits forward in the transaxle. Right behind the driver, actually, is where the engine is. It's not mid per se, but it is forward of rear engine.
So you would think that the balance would be quite good. Look at this battle right there. The 38, Gary Whitman streaming through. That's the battle for 7th.
Jay Griffin said, there's a hole there. I bet I can put my little Honda in.
And you saw the 24 of Jim Bluss, the black 24. He's getting beat up on right now. Everybody's starting to stream by. Jay Griffin there in the Honda CRX, the orange car.
Bob Eichelberger moves inside tries to get a run on the 24 of James Bluss, but doesn't make this pass. Now he tries again.
That full course caution has really gathered up the field and brought racing back to H Production. Field had gotten a little bit sorted out, I should say, but this has really closed things back together. And now Eichelberger trying to hold on to the back of that battle.
Sprint race now, Brian. Handful of laps is all they got left to run, so you can really forget about, you know, conserving tires or anything. Just go for it now.
13 laps in the books, working lap 14, so there'll be 4 to go at the line this next time by, and there's plenty time left for Dan Collishaw, still within striking distance of Tom Feller. Can Feller make it 5 H Production National Championships in a row? We'll find out when we come back to Heartland Park. The SCCA National Championship Runoffs, the 45th year the competitors have done battle for the National Championship gold medals, and right now H Production battle on track. Tom Feller continues to lead it in his yellow Triumph Spitfire, but Dan Collishaw all over the back of him still in that little Austin Healey Sprite. Collishaw with a weight advantage over Feller in the Spitfire, but a horsepower disadvantage, Dorsey.
Absolutely a horsepower disadvantage. Feller, of course, the reigning champion, would like to make it 2 in a row.
And here's this battle that continues to rage between Jay Griffin in the orange Honda CRX and then the 38 of Gary Whitman. And right in front of them is the 11 of Tim Pitts. Whitman having the better run there.
You know, we talk about these different engine sizes and different weight cars. Next year, when these cars go to Elkhart Lake with its 4-mile track and long straightaway, that big engine is going to be a popular option, I think.
Whitman in the Austin Healey Sprite has moved forward from 12th to the 6th position, Chris.
Well, Jay Griffin is in his 4th runoffs, and he has yet to finish one of these, so good run today. But earlier this week, a little bit nervous. The engine in that car was running very fat. They couldn't figure it out on the racetrack yesterday. They went outside of the racetrack to the engine dyno, spent a couple hours over there, finally figured out how to get that little motor running better. So now, having a good run today, hopefully try and finish his first runoffs.
And of course, when Chris says the car is running, the engine's running fat, he means it's running rich. It's getting too much fuel to air ratio, and they take it to the dynamometer, put it on the chassis dyno, run the engine up to assess the horsepower, but then you can also start to lean the engine out, start to work on that engine a little bit to get the power out of it, and apparently they've done a good job.
Pitts running 5th right now, and then Jay Griffin in the orange 17 moving forward. He's in 6th, and another good battle here.
Bob Eichelberger really doing a great job in that borrowed car from Mark Webber. I mean, that's the 27 there in the middle of those cars. Really giving it a good thrashing here. Webber himself is down quite a bit behind him.
Jim Bluss in the 24, and then you saw Mike Cummings in the 32, the yellow Sprite that's back there behind it. There's a good look at the 24 of Bluss, H Production battle. from Heartland Park. Topeka continues. The gold not yet decided. They'll have to run it all the way to the checkered flag. Hey, after that that's why you go racing. Tom Feller continues to lead over Dan Collishaw. Tom Feller holding down the point at the 45th running of the SCCA National Championships, looking for his 5th National Championship and the 5th National Championship in the H production class. He has 4 in a row. Can he make it 5? Dan Collishaw, Dorsey, he's hanging, and he has not dropped back.
No, he needs a little help.
Oh, no.
we jinxed him. We talked about him not being broke for the first time, and now it looks like the 17 is broke.
Jay Griffin having a good run and worked his way all the way up to 6. Take a look, the 38, Gary Whitman, right behind him in the MG. Comes through turn 5 and
Don loses power. You saw him right there. The car wiggled in the middle right at the apex. So lost power. I don't know if he lost gearbox or if it's, oh, look at this.
Look at this.
Big lead change. Feller's in trouble.
Collishaw is taking over the point. He is well off the pace.
Tom Feller's car is slow.
Now let me ask you this, Dorsey. I said Tom Feller, you see him pointing people by. Take a look.
He knows right. Oh, something. Well, he got tagged. He actually got tagged. It's knocked his taillight off the right rear taillight lens is missing, I believe.
Well, yeah, but I think he was slow before that.
Oh, he was, yeah. He slowed mid-corner, and that's why he got tagged.
Did he lose a gear? The car seems to have drive still.
Might have missed a gear there. Is in an area where you could downshift.
But let me ask you this. I said Tom Feller, I said Tom Feller had not raced this year.
Right.
And would that put him off song? Well, it's not the only thing that hasn't raced. That car hasn't raced this year. So when you think about a race car that sits idle for an extended period of time.
Gearbox problems, I'm thinking here, Brian.
I mean,
he's looking down. Now he's going to give up.
He's going to pull it off the track and back into the paddock. Chris, what do you know?
Well, his dad Chuck has been on the radio with him. Chuck, what's the word from Tom?
Something broke in the engine. He's not sure what. It didn't look like, I didn't see any smoke, but it lost a cylinder, so something happened. We've had trouble. We have to run stock rocker arms, and those are notorious for breaking.
Well, good job today, guys. They really had control of this race, but the 5th championship isn't going to come.
When they allow you to run a bigger engine, Brian, they don't allow you to race modify it. So they're running stock rocker arms, and like you just heard him say, probably snapped a rocker arm, and that will make one cylinder go dead. And rather than damage the engine further, Feller's pulled it off and called it a day.
Well, Dan Collishaw in 2002 took the H Production National Championship, and right now he has a pretty good lead over Matt Brannon. So we'll go a little bit further back and find another battle a little further back. Michael Berger, the 27 off the track.
Good job of not getting in trouble there beyond what he had already.
Eichelberger running in 7th, and then right behind him, the 37 of McGinley. So they're having a good run, but hey, don't forget about Mike Cummings in the 32. He's now a part of this battle.
And he's got a great draft now with 2 cars side by side going up that straightaway. The 32 will have the big advantage.
And when you look at those cars streak down the front straightaway, this could be 20 or 30 years ago.
Oh yeah, easy, no question about it. I mean, like I said, Weber's cars have been running in these runoffs for that long.
Eichelberger having a good run, shown in 7th right now. Then McGinley, then Cummings. That is the battle for 7th. And right now, the 37 of McGinley looks to the inside. No. Eichelberger saying, nope, you're not going to get. Oh, now he just can't stay on the outside, though, can he? And you see the 32 of Cummings coming with him.
One thing you can say about the cars, they're very equal. At least these 3 are very equal. Yellow flag out right there in that corner for something.
Good catch. Eichelberger may not have seen it because it looked like he was going to try to make the move around McGinley as they run down the hill into turn 6.
Eichelberger's car looks pretty soft up in the front end. It's got a lot of front ride height, which can't be helping it any in straight line speed.
When you don't run a car for a long time, do you risk the mechanical parts of it going bad? I mean, seals and things like that. I'm sure they ran the car. They've run it all week long. But when you're not on top of it all the time, I mean, do you lose track of those little things?
Now, I think his father probably hit it on the head. If they've had rocker arm problems in that engine before, I'm sure that's what it's done again. It's a weak link. But when you go to the bigger engine, you can't race prep it. You have to run it in its stock configuration. Of course, they're running much more RPM than what was recommended by MG.
And 17 laps in the books. The last one, the most important, 18 done. The checkered flag flies for Dan Collishaw, and he takes a second national championship in H production. It has been 6 years since Dan Collishaw stood on top of the podium. He'll be there on the top step today. Further back, the battles that we talked about, you see the 38 flash across the line. That's Whitman in 5th. Then Jim Blust, McGinley, Eichelberger holds down the 8th spot. And Cummings will come across the line in 9th. Your top 3, Collishaw, Brannon, and Gauper. It was Collishaw that had such a great run early with Tom Feller. These guys had a good run, but Collishaw celebrating. And you know, is nothing to be ashamed of. Sure, Tom Feller had mechanical problems, but Dan Collishaw led this race on his own accord, and with the speed and the handling of that little Austin Healey Sprite. He led it several times, and who knows, he may have had something for Tom Feller at the end had Feller stayed on track.
And Feller
Great job.
Feller might not have broke if Collishaw hadn't given him such a good run from the whole thing.
Good call, Dorsey. Mike.
Well, Peter, congratulations. Looked like Collishaw pushed him hard enough to break that motor, huh?
A little motor that could. Yep.
That's right, absolutely. I mean, at the very end of the race, we were expecting a big showdown, but you think right now, is that the way he wanted to win it, like just to have the other guy break?
No, we didn't really want anyone to break, but we really did want to win on the racetrack. This is our second win, but it's the first time we've done it on the racetrack rather than the tech shed, so we really wanted this.
Well, congratulations. This is also the very first time Daniel Collinshaw's ever been to Heartland Park, so it's a first for him as well.
Well, a great job, and he has always been strong at the runoffs. He has 2 wins now, 3 seconds, 5 top 5s, and 10 top 10s. They'll add to those totals, and when we come back to Heartland Park, we'll be back for the celebration and the medal presentations. 45th running of the SCCA National Championships is done, as is the 45th running for the National Championship in H production. Dan Collishaw, what a great run. He takes his second national championship, and he is with Mike.
Well, first visit to Heartland Park, but your second national championship. Tell us about the battle with Feller in the first half of the race.
We had a good tussle. I mean, I think I surprised myself getting a great start. I was afraid of getting run over at the start with all those big horsepower cars behind me, but in fact, I got a good start, found myself in the lead. And then Tom just had a little more power at the top end and got by me, but we were really closely matched, passed each other several times a lap. Unfortunately, he broke at the end. Something broke, which is a shame because we were nose to tail. We would have been a good finish.
Well, it was looking like it was going to be that way. Now, tell us what was it like going through your mind when you saw him break and you knew you were going to go by him?
Don't screw it up. Basically, keep it on the black stuff and don't make any stupid mistakes. Kept looking in my mirrors to see where the. All
right. Well, you had a win at Mid-Ohio, a win at Heartland Park. Next year, Road America. Maybe we'll do 3 races, 3 tracks, 3 national championships. Chris.
Well, Matt Brannon was late to the grid last year, had to start at the back, worked his way up to 5th. This year, you make it a little bit easier, and you get your best finish at the runoff, 2nd place. Great run today.
Thanks a lot. The car ran really, really well. I knew I didn't really have anything for Feller or Collishaw, but we hung in there and kept running really smooth, consistent laps, and the track was really tough. A couple of cars went off because they were oiling it up, and there were corners that would have really jumped out and bit you, but we kept the sunny side up and rolled her in here second. I'm thrilled.
Now, if you had a few more laps, did you have anything for Dan there at the end?
I don't know. He came off a little bit, but I think he was just conserving the car just like I was. All of our lap times were coming down, so there was a gap there, and I probably wouldn't have tried to push it. I was driving as hard as I could.
Well, I was with your wife, watching her on the wall. She was on pins and needles. Marnie, you were encouraging him on the radio. You got to be pretty proud of your husband.
Absolutely, absolutely. We are so excited. This has been a phenomenal season. We're so happy with this new car. It was a bit of a gamble, and it really, really turned out well. Our guys back at home at Midwest X19 were awesome. We worked on this car for so long, and we're just so happy to be able to be here and give them some gratification that they did a great job.
Well, these guys did great. Congratulations.
And congratulations to Matt Brannon on his best runoffs finish ever. It's amazing, Dorsey, if you make it to the grid, you actually get a chance to race and improve.
Yeah, you do. Greg Gauper did a good job for the Tin Top boys. He was the first hard top car to finish, and he's also now can get out of the car and go back to being a corner worker, which is one of the volunteers here.
And Dan Collishaw on his victory lap right now, the one that is so important. We saw those good battles back there for 5th and 6th between Whitman and Blust. McGinley, they all had good runs. Bob Eichelberger with a good run as well. He was in that battle.
Yeah, and a borrowed car, so that was a very good job for Bob.
Looking through the second page, Thomas Broering, we talked about him earlier. Good job. And Mark Webber, good run as well. Let's head back down to Victory Lane with Mike.
Well, we had those tin tops in the field, and we had a British Roadster up front, Italian mid-engine car in the middle, and you bring the front drive car home in third. Congratulations.
Thank you. That was quite a drive. It really got helped out with the full course yellow to cool the tires down, and I drove the wheels off trying to catch Matt out here, but I think he was driving the wheels off of his car, and boy, oil temperature was real high, and on 3 laps to go, I just stopped looking at it.
All right, congratulations. Great job to everybody.
Great job to everybody. Mike just talked about the diversity there, Dorsey. We saw it, and we saw another great H production battle for the national championship.
And we'll go back to it next year. Longer straightaway, we'll have to see. I bet those big engines will be all over the place.
H production, it was a great one. Congratulations to all the competitors, especially to Dan Collinshaw. For Mike Johnson, Chris Neville, Dorsey Schrader, I'm Brian Till. Thanks for joining us right here on Speed for the SCCA National Championship Runoffs.